Ayo Dosunmu has been so consistent this year. We have to talk about him. And the question for today is, can Ayo Dosunmu become the next great two-way player in the NBA? We got to talk about it. And we're going to look into tonight's game versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. Y'all know we're going to talk about it and break it down. But you know you got to hear the music first.
Cognac, gang.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of Shy Boys Podcast. You got me today, Bobby, holding it down on another episode. If you tune in with me today, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. Now, look, outside of all the things considered, Alex Caruso, maybe DeMar DeRozan, Ayo Dosunmu has been right up there with the most consistent Chicago Bulls of this season. So I have to go out here and ask the question, can Ayo Dosunmu become the next great two-way player in this league? I know it's levels to this, so I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I got to talk about it simply because I believe it's very, very possible for Ayo Dosunmu to do so. I know we talked about that spectacular first season from Ayo Dosunmu. And then last season, they call it a sophomore slump. So I'm going to call it one of those as Ayo Dosunmu kind of was going through the motions, trying to find his way out in this NBA, after teams figured out the type of player that he is. And then he came into this season, worked this offseason, got with player development coach Peter Patton, who Ayo Dosunmu gave a lot of credit to in his last game to when he had his career high, and gave a lot of kudos and credit to player development coach Peter Patton, pretty much saying that Peter Patton has been consistent with the development of Ayo Dosunmu. Now, this season, my guy has been pretty damn good in just about every single game. We always talk about the consistencies from our player. We always talk about them receiving opportunities and taking advantage of those opportunities when they receive them. So that's why I got to come in and talk about this guy potentially being the next great two-way player. He's only 3 seasons in his young career and many, many years ahead of him versus the years that have already passed. Now, when we talk about those two-way players, me personally, I like to look at this as having some type of tier system to it. Again, it's levels to this. So on that first level, the type of two-way players that you might say, these are the guys that are all-stars. These are the guys that are considered superstars and that can completely get it done on both ends of the floor. That tier one of guys is your Paul Georges of the world, is the Kawhi Leonards of the world, your Anthony Davis, your Giannis's, and now entering into that top tier, you can't not forget Anthony Edwards. Now, Ayo Dosunmu is slowly creeping up that tier ladder, and I believe right now he's pretty much touching that second tier of those two-way players who can potentially, make some big noise, who these guys maybe have had an all-star appearance here and there, or could potentially get one in the future, depending on how things play out for them. Some of those players, the way I think Ayo Dosunmu can be in those conversations with, includes the Drew Holidays of the world, the DeJounte Murrays of the world, the Mikal Bridges of the world. And this is a Bulls channel, so how could I not mention Alex Caruso of the world, especially with his ascension this year offensively. So I'm looking at Ayo Dosunmu as a guy that could potentially be placed in that tier 2 of NBA players of being solid two-way players. So when you talk about Ayo Dosunmu offensively, what is he bringing to the Chicago Bulls? What is he putting on display each and every night in terms of NBA basketball? Offensively, Ayo Dosunmu has found some consistency with this offensive game. This year, from the three-point line, 41% is what he's averaging. That's after only averaging 31% last year. So 10 percentage points, he elevated his game. And then from the field, 50% from the field. And we already know offensively that he's able to create a little bit. We know that he's solid in pick and roll opportunities with Nikola Vucevic and Andre Drummond whenever those opportunities present themselves. And he is a absolute monster in transition, to the point to where us on this channel, from several of our guys here, Big Kev, CDubb, Steve-O, we nicknamed the man because every time he get it off the glass, he's going down court in a blur with the speed of a Russell Westbrook, of a John Wall, and back in the day, one of our very own Derrick Rose. With that type of speed and that type of effectiveness in transition, every single game, Ayo Dosunmu is going coast to coast and putting pressure on the opposing team just so he can get an easy basket in his regard. So that's the offensive. Now the defensive stuff. Ayo Dosunmu is 6'4", a bit over 200 pounds, is able to switch on many positions and many other players from the opposing team. He's able to hold his own, and he abuses smaller guards. Let's not talk about the kids that he might have around the league. The other night against the Atlanta Hawks, we seen him spend time with his son, Trae Young. We know how Ayo Dosunmu tortures and terrorizes Trae Young every time the Chicago Bulls match up versus the Atlanta Hawks. We seen Ayo Dosunmu have solid games defensively against Darius Garland. Defensively, when those opportunities presented itself versus a Jalen Brunson, those smaller guards, those bigger guards, they might be able to hold his own, because these point guards is crazy with the amount of talent that they have around this league. But Ayo Dosunmu is still able to hold his own. This guy right now is averaging a 0.8 steal per game. We'll just round it up to 1 because that's what our math teachers taught us. Round to the nearest 100 or the 10th, whatever, however you want to put it, So I think the offensive game is there. The defensive game is there. But what is it really going to take for everyone to really place him in those tiers that we just talked about not too long ago, to say that Ayo Dosunmu has ascended to being one of the great two-way players in the league? For me, it's going to take consistency and opportunity for Ayo Dosunmu to really stamp himself as one of the great two-way players within this league. I think the consistency is starting to hit on another level for Ayo Dosunmu, especially with the offensive side of things. We're seeing the three ball. We're seeing him get out in transition. We're seeing him make for others. We're seeing him make smart basketball decisions, which mean the world to me. And on the defensive side, with that consistency, he has been pretty damn solid in just about every single night, depending on the matchup, when it comes to holding his own defensively. Now, when we talk about the opportunity, Ayo Dosunmu once, came off the bench and then received some starting opportunities last year before he was eventually benched for Goran Dragic, and kind of struggled and tried to find his way, last season. But those opportunities have increased this year, and he has been nothing short of spectacular for the Chicago Bulls. The opportunities will come. The opportunities will be presented to Ayo Dosunmu because he has made himself a consistent role player as of right now, to where you cannot go ahead and say, yeah, Ayo, you're not playing tonight. He is a player who has earned himself minutes each and every single night. There is not a game that you go into, if he's healthy, that you say Ayo Dosunmu is not going to play tonight. So those opportunities are coming. And it's kind of like the Kobe White situation for me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, we seeing this guy struggle a little bit last season. Let's give him another opportunity. Let's let him develop, have an off season, work on his game, work on some things. We're going to put him in position. Boom. Then you seen Kobe White kind of have a solid end to that second half last season and receive an opportunity for the starting job this season and was able to hold it down. Ayo Dosunmu in his reserve role is holding it down. We don't know if Ayo Dosunmu will be a starting point guard for the Chicago Bulls moving forward, but there will have to be a question if Ayo Dosunmu can be maybe maybe a part of the starting lineup with Kobe White, and they kind of play off each other a little bit. I think that the chemistry is good between those two. I believe both guys, they are very, very capable of you know, running some offense and handling the ball. And I think they do pretty damn well at it. So when that opportunity presents itself with Ayo Dosunmu again, will he be able to grab it and never give it back? Or will he come to that realization, maybe years down the road, maybe not next year, maybe the year after, be like, man, I've been playing so good, I want to start again. That's what Kobe White pretty much was putting out the entire offseason. I want to start again. And I believe Ayo Dosunmu is good enough, and he realizes that he's good enough to want to eventually start again. So when that opportunity comes, whether that's with the Chicago Bulls or somewhere else, can he be able to take advantage of that? So that's what it's going to take for me. Consistency and opportunity, and seizing that moment and being able to grasp that entire idea and being able to take full advantage of that. We still don't know if an all-star game is in his near future. I believe that if he receives an opportunity, you never know, because sometimes injuries happen. Players, have bad seasons, and sometimes you have to give a guy an opportunity. Hell, look how bad the Toronto Raptors are this season, and Scotty Barnes became an all-star. You never know what's going to happen in this NBA. That's why I believe there is a shot for Ayo Dosunmu to absolutely become an all-star in this league, to gain some consistency and be able to seize the moment to where he can be, regarded as one of the great two-way players in this league, because it's not really too many guys that you can pinpoint to if you go up and pull up all the NBA players within the NBA and say, yeah, he's definitely a two-way player. No, it doesn't. It's just not how it is right now within the NBA. I'm anxious to see what's going to happen. As of right now, I believe and I'm going to trust that Ayo Dosunmu is going to continue to grow and trust in himself and become better and gain more traction around the league, or recognition for a better word. And he will be able to stamp himself as one of the great two-way players in this league. Probably how people view Alex Caruso. They know that he's a solid player because he's done it on multiple stages already with multiple teams, and the consistency has been there. Ayo Dosunmu has to get that consistency part down pat before he starts to gain the attention around the NBA. So y'all let me know how y'all feeling about all that. Let me know if you think Ayo Dosunmu can become one of the great two-way players in the NBA. And what is it going to take for Ayo Dosunmu to do so? Now, before we get out of here, I just want to do a quick look into tonight's game versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. Woo! The Cleveland Cavaliers have the Chicago Bulls number, ladies and gentlemen. The Chicago Bulls have lost 6 straight games to the Cavs. They have not beaten the Cavs since March of 2022. So let's go into the All-Star break with another dub on, we just beat the Hawks. Let's get a dub before we go into the All-Star break. It is not going to be easy because the Cleveland Cavs have literally been the hottest team around the NBA before they just took a loss the other night. They definitely will be looking for a way to bounce back. And the Chicago Bulls, the last time we seen them versus the Cleveland Cavs, wasn't necessarily up for the game. Let's be up for the game. Let's be able to take it to these damn guys in Cleveland, and let's get a win for tonight. Some key matchups is definitely going to be eyes on Donovan Mitchell and DeMar DeRozan. It's definitely going to be eyes on Max Strus, who always balls out for some strange reason, versus the Chicago Bulls. And let's not forget George Niang, who always lights up the Chicago Bulls as well. So let's lock in. Let's get ready. And let's see what happens. We shall see. The Bulls going to show that they got some cojones, or they just ready for the All-Star break. We shall find out later. Make sure you tune in to the live call later tonight. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well on your way out. That is it from me today. If you want to call in and go ahead and give your take on what we discussed earlier, can Ayo Dosunmu become a great two-way player? I would love to hear your thoughts on this. The number to call in, it's 773-242-9219. You can call or send a text message, and you will be a part of the next episode right here on Shy Bulls Podcast. That's it from me today. I'm Bobby. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure.
Cognac. Gang.